Okay, so it's zucchini season and the zooks are popping off. This zucchini pasta recipe is creamy, yet refreshing and light and summery at the same time. It's packed with flavor, it's easy to make, so let's make it. To start things off, I'm going to bring a pot of water to a boil on the stove. Pretty straightforward stuff. While I was over there, I also turned on the broiler to the lower setting, which for me is 450, and I moved one of my oven racks to the second highest rack because we're gonna be broiling the zucchini. I have one pretty large zucchini here. So in the written recipe, I have exact measurements for everything, and I'll actually flash that up on the screen just now because I know I'm gonna forget to put it in later on. So if you wanna just take a picture, you can do that. It's also at howtomakedinner.com. I'll leave the link down below. But I thought for the video, I'm just gonna make this how I make it. I'm not gonna follow the recipe to a T because I feel like that's how most people actually cook. Okay, I've been yammering. So, long story short, I have a pretty good sized zucchini here. If this was smaller, I would use 2 of them, but I'm just gonna use 1. And I'm making enough for 2 people today. So I'm just gonna chop the top and bottom off of the zucchini. Then I'm gonna do something weird, which is to smash it up a bit. I saw this on an episode of Technically, which is I think part of America's Test Kitchen. No, it's through something. I'll put a link to it. They were smashing zucchini and I thought that was a great idea, especially for broiling because it gives you lots of little craggy bits and pieces to get extra browning. So we're gonna do that. So what happens when you smash it, it's gonna probably split sort of in half. I'm gonna keep smashing it until it splits in like lengthwise quarters-ish. It's also fun. So then you have all these like random zucchini fragments. I'm just gonna give them a rough chop at this point to kind of end up with little pieces. The zucchini is all going to turn to mush in the end, so you don't really need to worry about the size too much. But see all those little craggy bits? That's going to be good for browning. Now, you can either scoop this into a bowl and toss it with oil and salt, which is what I recommend in the recipe, or if you're feeling a bit lazy, you can just put it straight onto the baking sheet and spray it with some of this oil. So because it's a Tuesday night and I'm at home and no one else is here, I'm just gonna do it that way and then I don't have to wash the bowl. So I'm just gonna spray the pan so they don't stick. Dump the zucchini on. Sort of spread them out a bit. Then I'm gonna spray them with a bit more. I've been a really big fan of this avocado oil in a can. Super handy. I do want a nice even coating of oil on the zucchini so that it browns properly. So if I didn't have one of these, I would definitely use a bowl to toss everything properly, but this is a really good shortcut. And then I'm gonna use, I forget how much salt it is, I think it's half a teaspoon, but I'm just gonna go by eye. Not too much because we are gonna season the pasta water really well. Okay, so now I'm just gonna throw these under the broiler. And notice I didn't line this with parchment paper because the parchment paper would certainly burn. And it has burned. It did burn the first time, so I'm not going to do that again. My pasta water is also boiling. I'm using penne today. You can use any short shape. I do think this works best with short noodles. My favorite actually is that mafalda. It's kind of like little slices with ripples on the edges, but I have penne today and that works just fine. And weirdly, I do tend to weigh my pasta every time because otherwise I just totally overdo it. And I always have my digital scale handy anyway, so it's super easy to do. So I'm gonna salt the water and then I'm gonna dump this in. So the zucchini is browning, the pasta is cooking. It's time to get the rest of the ingredients together. And this is all to do mostly with like the sauce, the finishing touches. I have a lemon here, some Greek yogurt. I have some garlic and I'm using frozen garlic that I have minced and frozen myself just because it's convenient. And I have some olive oil, extra virgin, and Parmesan cheese. I also pre-blended in my food processor a bunch of Parmesan cheese, bought a big chunk from Costco, blended it up in advance, and I keep it in the freezer so that I can always have it on demand. I love the crumbly texture and the deliciously nutty flavor. I almost forgot about basil, fresh basil. And I have a lot of it in my garden, but something is eating it. And there's quite a few chunks taken out of the leaves. I think that's pretty much all we have to do. Usually the pasta and the zucchini will take about the same amount of time. Sometimes the zucchini is done a little bit sooner, and then I'll just pull it out whenever I can really smell it and whenever it's nice and golden. Okay, so the zucchini is nice and golden brown. I love broiling it because you don't need to wait to preheat the whole oven. You can just turn it on, get the zucchini under there, and you get lots of really good browning. If it's stupid hot where you live, you don't have to use the broiler. You could do any other cooking method. You could like stir fry the zucchini, or you could even grill it, as long as it's not, you know, blackened, because I think that might affect the flavor a bit. But yeah, cook the zucchini however you want. I love broiling it. Move this aside for a minute. I'm gonna drain the penne, but I'm gonna make sure to reserve some of the cooking liquid. Definitely, gotta do that. All that's left to do is quickly make the sauce in the same pot we cooked the pasta, and it's gonna come together super quick. I would normally do this over on the stove, just on the burner that's turned off, but there should be enough heat left in this heavy bottomed pot to do the job. So I'm gonna put in some olive oil, and then I'm gonna add my garlic. I'm just gonna guess, I think it says 8 cloves in the recipe. For me, that's a chunk about that size. No, I need to bring it back to the stove to cook the garlic just a touch, just for like 30 seconds. BRB. That's better. I just cooked the garlic for about 20-30 seconds, just until I could really, really smell it coming up. And now I'm just gonna build everything together. So I'm gonna add in my nudes and a little splash of the water, because I know I'm gonna need some. At this point, you can kind of just chuck everything in. I'm gonna throw in my zooks. Like I said, it's pretty much mush now, which is what I want. And if you love zucchini, you could add more, you know. I think that it would be worse to have not enough zucchini. Better to have too much. And then I'm going in with some Greek yogurt. I don't know why, but I always just assumed that Greek yogurt would go curdly and weird if you put it in something hot like pasta, but as long as you have it off the heat and you use a good full fat Greek yogurt, it seems to be fine. I think if you were to cook it for a few extra minutes, it would probably separate, but it's fine as long as you're off the heat. I'm gonna add in my fresh basil. Just tear it up kind of on its way into the pot gently. I don't really care if I get big hunks. I love basil. Probably smart if I were to reserve some for a garnish, but I didn't. And then I'm just gonna zest in a lemon. With the lemon itself, I'm just gonna cut it into wedges and serve it with the pasta so we can all have little lemon squeezes on top. And then it's just a matter of mixing everything together and adding enough of the pasta water until it's perfect. You can see the zucchini kind of just falls apart as you mix it in. If you wanted to protein this up a bit, you could definitely add tofu, chicken, shrimp. Honestly, I think shrimp would be so good. Even some chickpeas or lentils would be good in this. And that's it. So let's put it in a bowl. All I'm gonna do now is finish it with a little extra cheese. I've got my lemon cheek, which is my favorite cut of lemon. It's creamier than you would ever imagine with just that small amount of Greek yogurt and that nicely seasoned starchy water. love it so much. It's so creamy and lemony and fresh, and it's got like a rich kind of earthy zucchini flavor because we broiled the zucchini like that. This is such a nice weeknight wonder. Perfect for summer, any night of the week. I hope you love it. That wraps it up for this one, but if you're in the mood for more zucchini recipes, check out this one next. It's a Bulgarian recipe. It's one of my favorites in the summer. Sliced zucchini with a thick yogurt and dill sauce. Super good, super summery, really easy. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.